This is Justice Brennan, and he sat on the Warren courts, and he wrote the opinion for a very famous case called Mishkin v. New York, and this case was decided in 1965, and it has to do with obscenity and the First Amendment. Here's what happened. In New York City, police officers had arrested a publisher, and they did some investigation into the kind of materials he was publishing and found that there were multiple books that had covers on them depicting certain kinds of fetishes that were inappropriate under the New York statute obscenity law. So he was charged with multiple counts. He was charged with possessing obscene books, with hiring others to prepare obscene materials, as well as publishing obscene materials. He appealed. Now, his sentence was changed a little bit by one of the appellate courts, primarily because there was a requirement that he list his name and address on his materials, and this piece of the New York law was held unconstitutional. But other than that, everybody agreed the sentence was fine. He appealed up to the United States Supreme Court. Of course, we've got a lot of questions here on the First Amendment, but here are the three primary questions for the U.S. Supreme Court. Number one, was New York's anti-obscenity statute impermissibly vague? And the answer, Justice Brennan said, was no. There might be some terms used here that you don't normally see, but they weren't vague. They were pretty descriptive. Number two, were Mishkin's books properly found to be obscene under the Roth test? Justice Brennan said, yes, there's definitely a prurient interest, even though it's a specific subcategory of people that were being targeted by this particular material. The prurient interest was still there, and therefore we had obscenity. And then number three, must the government show that Mishkin knew the books were obscene? And Justice Brennan said, yes, they do need to show he knew the material was obscene. And the justice held that clearly the defendant had been disguising his efforts to publish the materials, but the sheer quantity of it showed that he knew that the material was obscene. So his sentence was upheld. Materials were found obscene and not covered by the First Amendment.